Henry McClure live, coming to you live with the Topeka Factor in Studio 104 at Highcrest Fellowship Church with my co-heart, co-sponsor, co-host,
I thought I was getting paid for this.
codependent.
I'm not getting paid. Not only am I not getting paid for this, I'm actually paying you for this. Co-sponsor. Wait a minute. We need to renegotiate.
Marshall Barber.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Marshall. What do you? Hey, we're coming down. We're clipping down the road. We're making this up as we go, which I think it's kind of fun. A friend of mine said that we needed to cut our shows, make them, when they see 58 minutes, wow, do I really want to sit here for 58 minutes? So we're cutting the size of our episodes down during today's shows.
Even Curb Your Enthusiasm doesn't run for 58 minutes. So,
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so if we could get one person on the Topeka Factor, one person, who would you invite? I mean, that we can get on the Topeka Factor.
Kim Kardashian? No.
I don't see, what's the appeal with her?
She just started up some financial thing with some guy.
Well, can we borrow some money?
I was just reading about that the other day, but actually, Linda Bryden from the Sunflower Association of Realtors would be an interesting guest because she was loading me up on local sales statistics here before going on there.
I ought to join. Do they have a commercial division?
Oh, sure. I'm sure we do. Yeah.
I should join.
Please, start a commercial division.
When I first moved back to Topeka, I will tell you that it wasn't very friendly.
Really?
Yeah.
Commercially speaking?
Well, because I'm so used to.
Maybe they're all just jealous.
Well, no, nobody's jealous of Henry McClure. But listen, the industry, the mall industry, we all work together.
Yeah.
And so we started what was called the Greater Leasing Agents of Greater Los Angeles, LGLA. And we ended up having 100 people at a luncheon up in Brentwood, from which really started off 4 or 5 guys having too much vodka over, one afternoon. but it grew. And then the International Council of Shopping Centers, the ICSC, we all work together. We have deal-making meetings. And in the mall business, everybody cooperated. Hey, does that guy pay the rent on time? Because we were salaried and bonus. Oh, wow, this is something. We're talking about therapy. So the other morning, I wake up and I had dreamt about the difference between David Simon and Art Coppola. Art Coppola used to be chairman of the board of the Macerich Company. His dad got hit by lightning. Mace Siegel, the founder of the company, took Art under his wing like a son. And later Art squeezed Mace out. But David Simon, honor thy mother and father.
Okay.
David, his stock's at 110 a share, and Macerich is somewhere around $9 a share. But David's doing really good in the mall business, and maybe it was just because he was closer to his dad.
Oh, so you're talking about the David Simon
of Simon, the big deal,
the real estate Simon.
Yeah.
Not the guy who started the Wire and
no,
Treme and all those other.
Or the guy that you got to repeat everything that he says.
Yeah. Okay.
Simon says. All right. So what are you doing?
Well, I'm trying to find my Newsbreak app on my phone, and I'm not finding it.
I get a lot of my news from Twitter.
That had to do with.
I like Twitter.
New people in the Topeka Business Hall of Fame, which I thought might be an interesting.
I like that. Who would be neat is the what are you, the editor or the publisher of TK Magazine?
Oh yeah, we could get that.
Tamara or Tamara? Dimrick?
I'm not sure who that is. Okay, I'm gonna put this away.
Well, she's.
It's Tara Dimmick.
Do you know her?
Yep.
We got to.
Shot some stuff here in the studio.
For Topeka Magazine, yeah, let's see if we could,
She would be cool. I like her magazine.
yeah, me too. That would be good.
In fact, I send that magazine to customers of mine. You know, because I have a lot of out-of-state customers.
Okay. Speaking of which, were you making reference to somebody watching this show in Arizona?
Yeah, Tim Gibbons. He actually from Topeka used to work for Mace Rich. He watched one of the episodes and he wants to be on it. So I actually want to take a road trip down to Phoenix and, you know, put Tim on the show.
The Topeka Factor on the road.
Well, and I think that's
That would be good.
I think that's where we need to go. We need to get the Topeka Factor to where we're not eating up all. We've monopolized all their studio time, and I mean they're gracious to help us, but I don't want to be like a hog and take all the studio time here. But I want to grow the show. You know, I'd like to actually have a studio in my new office.
Okay.
But I'd also like to be able to take my Mevo and a friend of mine, Bruce Berlinger, got me like hooked on Mevo a long time ago, and it's like a little studio.
Mevo. Okay.
Mevo. All right. What's the Topeka Factor going to talk today? What are we going to talk about?
That sounds like a band. Oh, that's Devo.
Devo. Oh, you know what? I tell you what. I am going to do a show with my Star Wars hat because of your comment about Star Wars the other day. But I was wearing this hat the other day.
I take that comment back. I didn't really mean that.
I was wearing this Star Wars hat the other day, and I'm in Kansas City, and the guy at Home Depot stops me and goes, "Hey, I really like your hat." And then the shopper in Home Depot, "Hey, that's a cool hat, man."
Yeah.
And so, like, right before I was, like, pulling into my place at night, I'm right next door to a Topeka cop, right? Topeka PD. We got our windows down. He looks over, or all of a sudden he goes, "Hey!" I look over at him. He goes, "I like your hat." And I go, "Where's Marshall? He needs to see this." But you know what would be fun would be having a Topeka Factor where we tie like stuff from outside Topeka to Topeka. You know, whether it's movies, books, writers, successful people.
I had an experience over the weekend which would perhaps qualify for that, in that if you like good live music, we just had the third annual Blues, Brews, and Bites Blues Festival over at Ward Mead Park.
Blues, brews, and what?
Bites, as in barbecue. So we have a Topeka Blues Society,
You do?
which puts on this and other festivals, most notably the Spirit of Kansas Blues Festival at Lake Shawnee. So if you're someone that likes good blues music and the blues rock vein, we have a couple of big festivals every year right in Topeka. We also have the Paxico Blues Festival coming up this weekend in Paxico.
Should the Topeka Factor be there?
It should be. Yes, it could be and should be.
We need to get press credentials.
I might mention, yeah.
No, yeah.
I might also mention.
Look
that,
at Braille back there laughing at us. Man, we got to get press credentials.
there's a big free Wednesday night blues show at the Gage Park Amphitheater that the Blues Society puts on in conjunction with the Topeka Parks and Recreation Department. And the band Wednesday night starts at 7, will be Mark and the Sharks.
So I have MCRE Media. I've started that a long time ago. And I've got all sorts of blogs. I want to get MCRE Media live with Kiwi. Did you talk to him about selling?
He's expressed interest in a merger. He doesn't think
Okay, a
selling,
merger's fine.
he didn't think selling would be the best way.
But we
for
can
us to
merge
go.
up here in Topeka.
Because if we were to buy that, we'd be responsible for operating and maintaining 24/7.
All right, so let's merge.
We can merge.
But do we get the equipment up here?
We need, that's another thing. I can run down to Hot Springs and pick up a mixer board.
So what we're talking about right now is bringing back Kiwi, Kiwi.rock, and put Marshall. Marshall wants to be center stage and talk about music and play music. You know what I've been thinking about lately? This is how my little mind works. See, I love jazz music.
Oh, well.
And I think about people that write music, and I'm thinking about like how talented you'd have to be. You know, as I'm trying to write some stuff down for the books that I'm working on, you know, and I'm trying to focus. My publisher, Lance Powell, says you've got to at least write 15 minutes every day.
Oh,
And
well, that means I'm,
you know, I'm about ready to take your phone away from you.
I'm 20.
You know?
I'm looking for this comment.
No, I'm serious.
This
It's like a
pertains to what
TV
you were
show.
just talking about.
And little Marshall is playing
There we
with
go.
his phone during dinner. You know, we're going to take the phone away. But anyway, Kiwi.rock.
That's why I'm looking on my phone right now. I'm trying to find something in the Topeka History Geeks that pertains to Kiwi.rock.
So when I was
And we're
a
this
young
close.
man, Marshall used to be on the radio. Marshall Black Lung Barber. I didn't know you were smoking 2 to 3 packs of cigarettes a
I
day.
was.
What
yes.
what kind of cigarettes did you smoke?
Well, my two brands of choice were Pall Mall non-filters and Marlboros.
That's what Mace smoked.
Did he?
The Pall Mall non-filters.
Yeah.
And he likes Mace because of the horse races.
Yes.
He actually knew Brian Mayberry, which was a cool thing.
That is a cool thing.
You know,
And then Brian had a daughter, Summer, I think, that got into training as well. Now we're really far off the subject.
well, no, it's not the subject because Mace
Really?
Siegel was a real estate guy, and the Topeka Factor, Mace Siegel and the Topeka Factor are huge in my life because of the development of Arlen Shopping Center and then being the second owners of White Lakes.
Okay, the second.
Yeah, they bought White Lakes from from Lou Fowley.
Oh, okay.
Lou Fowley was president of White Lakes Mall Development Company.
Gotcha. There goes your phone, as if we don't have enough distractions. I'm trying to look up something on my phone.
Well, what is so important?
And now, I was trying to fix this post on Topeka History Geeks about specifically Kiwi.
All right, well,
Because you
next time do your homework, come in, and don't be looking up things on the show.
Well, we got to, as
Hey, we're having our first.
as Randy Newman would say, we got to roll with the punches here. So.
I liked
anyway.
your comment the other day about Mike Tyson's tattoo. How did that go?
The tattoo on Mike Tyson's face. That was a snarky comment about the 12th Street project.
You're rarely snarky.
This was.
Well,
total-
yeah,
this was
Topeka.
Total snark. The
Well,
12th
it's like
Street-
the gatekeepers we're going to keep people from leaving Topeka, so we're going to actually take a lane of traffic. We want people to stay downtown so long, we're going to
Right.
take a lane of traffic so you can't even leave. It's harder
They're-
to leave
They're
town.
gonna be stuck right there in Tennessee town.
I don't get it.
But yeah, that's what the reference to the tattoo on Mike Tyson's face was about.
Okay.
It's, the 12th Street project is comparable,
Well,
analogous.
so I'm looking forward to getting downtown for just for the sake of being settled. You know what I'm saying?
To reach critical mass downtown, now this is just my thinking, but now there goes my phone, but my phone isn't ringing out loud, so
I can hear it ringing in his ear.
I'm just gonna.
What a cool phone. You got it hooked up to your hearing aids.
Yes, these hearing aids cost like 3 times as much as the normal phone, by the way, but.
Well,
my
how much
thinking-
is that?
Yeah, about $4,500.
Whoa. So the hearing aids only?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There-
That's
there's,
cool.
There's a lovely audiologist from Lawrence named Jessica Gaughan who fixed me up with all this stuff when my hearing started going to hell. Perhaps because of my past association with the AM radio station.
The rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well, the
But-
nice thing about the hearing aids is you don't have to hear all this stuff.
Well, and then the phone goes right into it, so it's great.
It's
But,
beautiful.
um,
Can I
down-
ask you a
downtown-
question?
Wait, downtown reaching critical mass. Here's what has to happen. We need to have a downtown grocery store
Yes.
of some considerable, inventory. I
Well,
guess.
you got to have. I mean, you got to have Dillon's or Hy-Vee.
Whether well, of course, or Whole Foods or
Yes,
whatever, somebody.
but we do. You got to have. You know, it's a chicken and egg thing.
It is.
You got to have the people down there. You know, last somebody.
You gotta have, you
Yeah.
got two things. You need
Yeah.
a grocery store and you need residents.
So you need to subsidize the grocery store to get the people living down there. So
Yeah.
I want to get. I do want to
Why
get
not?
over to Salina.
Yeah.
But
Do they have a grocery store downtown?
I don't know.
That would be a question for your smart friend Howard Paul. Hey,
Well, you know, in Howard, what
they-
was really interesting, you know, because I admire Howard for a lot of reasons. I admire him for his success. He's hard worker, you know, but he's just like, he's smart. I mean, like, you know, he's an architect. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure, 99% sure he was an architect and he can build. You know, he was turning out these Walgreens so fast and, you know, he worked hard for every nickel that the guy, you know, every nickel that that guy made, he worked hard for it. But he's telling me he's going to Asheville, Savannah, and I wrote the names down on the board, the towns. But he said the difference in these towns, he goes, I'm 30 days from closing to cement. You know, I don't have to, you know, every time.
By that, he means, just for the benefit of anybody watching who doesn't understand that, 30 days closing to cement means that you buy the property, you own it, you close on it, and then
you're
within
building.
a month,
Yeah, you're
you're
building.
pouring concrete
Yeah,
for
you're-
your
you're building.
foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, then he started laughing at me about College Hill.
He laughed at you. He
Well,
was
yeah.
mocking you.
Well, I don't. I deserve to be mocked. But you know why?
Why?
Well, because the market changed over the time of the project.
Yeah.
I mean, it took so long to get the project done.
Yeah.
The market changed. I mean, and that's the negative side of the Topeka Factor.
Well, here's a question that I'd ask you then regarding apartments in general. It seemed like College Hill, you had 3 stories, and now I've noticed out by 29th and Fairlawn, they're actually building 4 stories. So what's the market likelihood of filling up 4 stories? I mean, I'm talking the 4th
Oh, I
story
think they'll fill them up.
as opposed to the 3rd story.
But I'll bet you $1. This is for I told you so. I'll bet you $1 that within 10 years or 15 years, that becomes a retirement apartment.
Those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll bet you.
Well, they better have elevators. I suppose they do.
They
for the
do.
4 floors.
Yeah, they've got elevators.
So, yeah, that, I remember some of the controversies around the College Hill, and we certainly don't need to revisit that.
Well, I don't mind.
but,
You want to pick on me too?
No.
You can.
But I'm not gonna laugh at you either. I'll leave that up to
Well,
Howard.
it was, but he can afford to laugh at me
There-
because he's good.
There was a certain AM radio station which,
Oh, Robin and Megan.
they'll remain nameless except their initials were WIBW, AM 580. I was doing a
You know who I really liked
was doing a
was Jim Cates, but go ahead.
Cates was the best.
But you had a,
And again, referring to one big deficiency in the general, this isn't just Topeka, it's everywhere. You got this corporate ownership anymore that no matter how popular something is, like Jim Cates, they bring in some corporate geek who's an absolute nobody, has absolutely nothing in the way of his personal genitalia, except for the fact that he's a corporate handmaiden. He can come along just like that. The Jim Cates show is gone.
Look at
just
the
like that.
look how alive he's becoming over this media.
Inside real estate is gone, but I
So
do
you
remember
did a show called Inside Real
at
Estate.
the very height of the College Hill controversy. I had you on as a studio guest,
And it was great. Bianca came
You brought your
and
daughter.
Reagan came.
and right away the next day or Monday, I get a phone call. Don't ever bring that guy on again. So it was.
Well,
like,
what did I say wrong?
You didn't say anything wrong.
When it, I,
It was strictly an.
and nobody can. He can't fire us today. Who's this guy? Let's go. Let's look him up.
No, I mean, it wasn't him so much as it was who he worked for that was saying this. So I just soon keep his name out of it.
Okay.
Because he's a good guy.
Well, that's all right.
But
But see, that's a nice.
he himself was quickly replaced by another faceless, genitalia-free Drood for the corporate media world.
The Topeka Factor in the media. That's interesting.
You know who I miss? I miss the Stauffer family.
Oh,
I
that's
miss-
so beautiful.
I miss the Reynolds family.
I liked
the
Frass
original-
Freddy.
The original owners. of
Yes.
Kiwi.
I liked Fred Reynolds and Jeannie, and the two daughters were hot.
The Axton family.
And I loved.
Alf Landon,
Well,
who owned Wren.
did you know my dad had a blooper? You know, my dad worked for WIBW.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he introduced the senator. He goes, and here we have Senator Crapper.
Oh, yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
My dad and actually my stepdad were both on the radio.
So, actually.
But Dad was Oscar Stauffer's first attorney. Did you know that?
I did not know that. But circling back.
Circling back.
Circling back to Kiwi Rocks.
But I like media. This is a good show.
The only way right now that we have for local media is to have this kind of quasi underground, under the radar on the internet.
Okay, so here's what I think we do
Because
for the
the-
merger. So
Okay,
we
for the
take,
merger.
so let's take the income base of the show today, right?
Okay?
Or whatever the radio station's making, and we guarantee that to him. So he gets his base. And then we start splitting the upside till we buy him out.
Well, let's try that. We got.
Okay, wait a minute. What's this hand?
8 minutes.
Okay, that was,
This means we've got enough.
all right.
We've got enough time to talk about the rally. Once again,
Well,
referring
now talk to me about you getting involved with the blues. Now, is blues,
inflation expectations declined in August.
what about the blues compared to jazz?
Well,
I mean-
I'm not a musicologist, but there's a case to be made that.
Is that a word? Musicologist?
It's
Absolutely.
a field of study.
Oh,
I'm your
it's a field of study.
I'm your professor of the College of Musical Knowledge, musicology.
You know, I took a class at KU taught by James Gadd, who had the largest jazz collection of anybody in the country. And he donated that to KU. And he brought history to life by playing jazz music or music of the day and then talking what was going on in the era. I like it when history comes to life.
Well, there would be those who say that blues preceded jazz, that jazz kind of evolved out of blues. There's a great book that just came out by a guy named T.J. English called Dangerous Rhythms, which has to do with the origins of jazz and how it evolved out of blues in the New Orleans community and spread from there into other communities.
Does this have to do with your book? Are we talking about your book?
This is a book, well, this is about jazz, and Kansas City plays a very prominent role in the evolution of jazz, as did Chicago, because these cities that had a very strong organized crime presence, these guys all had nightclubs and they needed entertainers, and the entertainers themselves needed sheltering from the violent racism of the Deep South that they were trying to escape. So guys like Louis Armstrong, who could not live safely in
Satchmo.
in their home environments, would end up making pretty good money in Chicago Because,
Under the protection of Al Capone.
a guy like Tony Big Tuna Cardo would come along and say, hey, you want to play in my nightclub? Here's what you get. And meanwhile, people knew that if...
Big Tuna.
that was the guy that ran Chicago. His name,
Prior to Capone?
No, after Capone. His nickname when he was with Capone was Joe Batters. But that's all inside baseball, mafia history stuff. But, people knew that, okay, you don't mess with Louis Armstrong because if you do, then you got
Big
Joe
Tuna.
Batters coming after
Oh,
you.
okay.
The Big Tuna. So, jazz, to answer your question in more depth than you wanted, jazz probably evolved out of the blues.
Well, what I want to do,
But we have blues.
I
in
want to
Topeka.
create a jazz club in Topeka. I do.
Well,
I want to make some money, and for my therapy, Henry McClure therapy is to provide jazz music because, look, I even though I've had a change in lifestyle, I still like the nights better. I'm still a night owl. I like the nights, and I want to. So what? I'm drinking coffee and listening to good jazz.
Yeah.
I don't mind if people have a cocktail. I'm not a hater. I just,
I wonder.
I've got a good run now of sobriety.
I do wonder, what, bouncing off of what you just shared, what the market would be for what they used to call a cocktail lounge, where people could go and just calm way down
Yeah.
and listen to jazz.
And that's what I want to do. So
With
that's
maybe,
what I want to do downtown Topeka.
Some nice, maybe a nice dinner, a couple of after dinner drinks.
Even if it's
And
in a
jazz.
basement, you know what I mean?
Well, of course it would be.
Like an underground.
Yeah.
All right, so
Like poor
how we
Mrs.
doing on
Murdoch
time
at
on
the
this
house.
Topeka Factor?
I think we're about done. We didn't even get a chance to talk about my forthcoming,
You got 3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes.
we got, okay.
So let's talk about what we want to do on the next show. We're going to be in the studio again this Thursday at 1 o'clock with Nicholas at the helm.
We want to talk about having a Jerome Powell as a big fat idiot rally.
No, I don't even know. Well, anyway, we're keeping it on the positive side.
It's the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board.
So I may go down tonight and talk at public comment about
Yeah, public comment.
the
What's that all
Planning
about?
Commission
Okay.
idea. Because I really want to get a Metropolitan Planning Commission going in the community.
And what time does the city commission meet? Where do they
Well,
meet?
city
And,
meets
what time
at-
is public comment?
So it starts at 6 o'clock and then public comments at the end of the show.
End of the thing?
So
Okay.
I've signed up for public comment. Well, look, thank you. We got 3 episodes in today, and
Of the Topeka Factor.
yeah, I'm having fun. I like this. It's good therapy. Anything you want to close? I mean, do you want to say a prayer or something on the way out?
I'm sorry, in closing, let's just say that this has been another episode of the Topeka Factor, which will be an ongoing exploration.
And if you want to be on the Topeka Factor, give us a holler.
Give us a shout.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
This will be an ongoing explanation of the good and the bad,
The truth.
the truth regarding the capital city of Kansas, and reasons why, if you're not
Looking
in
on the
Topeka,
positive side of the
reasons why,
Topeka
if you don't live
Factor.
here, you could and should live here. or
Because that's what
reasons
it's going to
why-
come down to.
Right.
We're going to have to attract capital to our
Or
community.
if you do live here, reasons to stay here.
Yeah,
The Topeka Factor.
we're going to get some jazz working.
Okay.
All right. Henry McClure live. Marshall Barber, the Topeka Factor.